Hello, my name is Hersh, and welcome to the HERshyt Show. Well, a little bit about it. You're gonna laugh, you're gonna cry, you'll probably cuss at me, but that's all right. I just want to bring to you the realization of what's really going on in this world that a lot of people are afraid to speak on. Enjoy.
What am I?
Welcome to this week's The HERshyt Show. She's just learning. We unscripted around these parts. Literally. She could tell you. She just found out the hard way.
Yeah,
we don't do 3, 2, 1, none of that stuff. Look, I look like I was throwing up gang signs just saying, I don't claim nothing. Damn it, I don't claim nothing. But this week, what I really want us to talk about is, we've already went through the business strategies and put your information out there. And thank you for staying on.
You're welcome.
And so what if I told you it was okay to not be okay? What if I told you that?
I would believe you because I believe in that. Yeah,
because there's so many motivational. They be like, oh, well, you got to find yourself, be happy, be this. But nobody tells people. Well, some people may do, but it flies over people's head or gets thrown under the radar because they lame. What you mean? Whatever type deal. But it's really okay to not be okay.
Right.
You're allowed to go through your transitional phases or your pivotal moments.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, did you ever get into a situation or whatnot where you was more worried about, not necessarily what other people thought, because that is a big factor with most, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there's a small percentage of us that really don't give a
I went through it, but then I went through not giving a damn, but I also went through, I did give a damn deep down, so.
What would people think?
At first I did, because I used to first feel like, oh, I don't give a damn what nobody thinks. But then in reality, to a certain extent, you kind of have to give a damn what somebody thinks.
Yeah.
Depending on, what you have going on in your life.
Yeah.
And so I definitely have been there to where it was like, oh, I don't give a damn about none of this. Come on, listen, I didn't give a damn.
Yeah.
I didn't give the F word. I did not give a shit. I did not
welcome to cuss on this show. This the HERshyt Show.
I didn't give a fuck. Okay. I didn't. But even though I was, vocalizing that and saying, I don't give a fuck, I don't give a fuck, I don't give a fuck.
But when you vocalize that, you're really giving a fuck.
A part of me really gave a fuck deep down inside. Yeah. And so, I definitely have been there. And I've also been there to where it's like, it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
I think the only thing is that I just don't sit in it. Get through it. If you got to sit in it for that moment, sit in it, cry, by all means.
Cuss.
Whatever you got to do, cuss, cry. Yeah. It's okay to do what you need to do to release, and to feel in that moment. We're human. We
and that's the
feel.
thing is, even with, of course, you're younger than me. You know what I mean? But not by much. You know what I'm saying? But with our kids' generation, it's like we still held on to that. Don't show your emotions, especially to our young men. Yeah. And now they're becoming of age, and that's why we got so many broken men in our generation, your generation. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Because we embed that.
Yeah.
In them, don't show your emotions. You better suck it up. Stop crying.
You're a boy. Why you crying? Yeah.
But now you got it to where you're like, man, it's okay to show your emotions. Let it out. Well, we've been beating them over the head, telling them not to show their emotions, or we'll give them something to cry about. Now, all of a sudden, you want them to be able to express their feelings.
Right. So I think the difference is because, when you're raised a certain way, obviously that goes with religion, with anything. When we're raised a certain way, we are embedded with these traditions, you like to call them, like don't cry, or, you're a man, or boys not supposed to play with dolls, or, all these things that we are taught growing up. So naturally, with anything, if you're taught something and you have not learned another way, you're going to pass that on to the next generation, and the next, and the next, and the next, and the next. That's how the generational, like they call it, generational curse, or the toxic behavior goes from one, generation, and it goes all the way down the line. It's like, okay, at some point, and even because I've experienced it with my kids, to where I had to kind of be like, you know what, it does not have to be this way. Yeah. Let me go ahead and kind of learn some
Build
other
this
things
back
and then instill this in
yeah.
my children versus what I was taught, you know, because...
So you could get the same result.
Yeah.
In a different mannerism, like taking that pivotal point and saying, you know, I know that this is the way that it is XYZ, but it's okay.
Right.
To not be okay.
Yeah.
But when do you yourself get to a point to where it's like, you know what? When do I need to take that right pivot or that left pivot? Or just even a little diagonal 45-degree pivot. You know what I mean? Right. When do you come to a point to realize, yes, it's okay to not... Don't be embarrassed by showing your emotions. You know what I mean? If you're pissed off, you pissed off. I mean, don't go shoot up no school or nothing like that.
Right.
But if you're pissed off, you're pissed off. Right. And you're allowed to be pissed off. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But get pissed off enough to make the positive outcome, but understand you can still have those negative emotions
and be pissed off. Yeah, because it's like, okay, you're gonna be pissed off, but then how long are you gonna be pissed off? Like, when are you just gonna be pissed off and then you just mad and then you just gonna just stay mad?
Yeah,
like
just stagnant.
No, I'm not gonna do that. No,
you just
I think it varies for each person, you know, because as you know, there's some people. You see them every day. You might wake up first thing in the morning. It might be a beautiful day. And you walk somewhere and you may say good morning and somebody just look at you like damn, okay, like, you know, that's fine. Yeah. You know, but
that's how road rage starts and shit too. You know what I mean? Like road rage, you got that that's the camel, what is it? The straw that broke the camel's back. Yeah. Like you might be that one person that accidentally bumped that one person and they done been up to here with it because you never know what's going on in somebody else's life.
Exactly.
Because we've been taught you put on the strong face when you go outside.
Yeah.
So it's not okay.
Never let them see you sweat.
Yeah. So you get that embedded in you no matter who you are, what background you have. It can be, you know, if you're in an affluent, I didn't even know what the fuck affluent was until a couple of years ago. But if you're in one of them bougie ass neighborhoods and you grew up that way, you still have to put on that strong face. You're not allowed to tell what's going on in the household just as much as the person down the street in the, you know, in a little broke down trailer park or in the bricks or wherever you may stay. There's always the same set of don't show your emotions, you go handle business.
And that's even like now today with social media. You know, a lot of people, the fake it till you make it society. It's like, you really can't show what you're going through because you don't want somebody to most of it comes from judgment. You don't, like you said earlier, what is somebody going to think of me? Or so people kind of try to put on and like, okay, I'm going to do this. But at some point, I mean, we human.
Yeah. We are human. It's okay to be human.
It's okay to be human. Like, that's the thing. People take the humanity out of everything. And it's like, just let people be. Like,
but when Tyrese came out with that, what more do you want? What more do you want? They clowns the snot out of Tyrese. What more do you want? I mean, like, bruh, you did do an ugly ass
I'm
cry.
Gonna be honest, because I be saying that.
But at the same time, you know, you got to understand that man was at that moment. It was his breaking point.
It definitely was.
It was hilarious to an extent, but
then he started kind of doing a little bit too much because he kept doing it like every other like, okay, we got the first one.
Yeah, like, it's the boy that cried wolf at this point.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it's a prime example. Most of society jumped in on it with, "What you doing to? You need a man up and woo woo woo," and then you had women catering to it, and then you had some women doing it. So it just depends on the mentality of the watcher, the viewer. But at the same time, you need to be able to release your frustration.
Exactly.
Because if you don't, it does turn into that split second of that straw on the camel's back to where you snap off on the wrong damn people.
So I got to find a safe place.
Yeah.
In a safe space. That's really the thing is like, you have to know, because I'm going to be totally honest, you should not get to a point where you just explode, you know, anywhere.
Yeah, no.
You know, and that's the thing that happened. Like, people will, like,
Snap.
for instance,
you remember
like,
the show Snap?
Yeah, I watch it. I watch it. But, you know, like, even with Tyrese, like, we don't know how long it took for him to get to that point. Mm-hmm. But the thing was, okay, he brought it to social media where everybody is. So, you know, he was getting scrutinized and people were making jokes and memes and every single thing.
But we don't know.
Like, we don't know how long he had been dealing with that. And we don't know who's around him. So he may have felt like he didn't have that safe space.
Yeah.
But for people, if you don't want to get scrutinized or you don't want people to, you know, judge you and look at you, you kind of got to find a safe place. Yeah. And a lot of people, you know, we grew up, therapy is not good. And, you know, that's weak. Mental health is weak. We've actually
have been breaking that across the board.
It's like, no.
Like, it takes courage.
Listen.
It takes courage to go admit that you are not okay.
You better go talk to somebody, honestly. Yeah. Honestly.
Right. And the people around you, just like with the situation with him, it's like, you know, you putting it out there because you want the world to know, but at the same time, you don't want people to know your business.
Yeah. But you just feel like maybe if I bring light to this situation, then this other party that's involved or whoever's making me feel like that, maybe they'll change. But I'm going to be totally honest. But 9 times out of 10, they won't.
But you also have motivational speakers that make you feel like shit.
Yeah, because everybody is telling you, like,
you need to be strong. You
gotta be, get up here, run, do this. First of all, I'm not about to be going to no gym all these days. I'm just about to tell you. I'm gonna be honest, I used to follow so many, like, motivational speakers and different things on social media.
Some of them just, they make you feel bad.
Yeah, man. It's like, you know, at like 3 or 4 in the morning, if you fall asleep with BT on, and then you hear that pastor or whatever, wake up! Like, that's how I started to feel with some of these people. And it's like, listen, no, you're not gonna make me feel bad because I'm not doing XYZ, because
not everybody is built the same way.
They're not. But a lot of people have to understand that a lot of things are smoke and mirrors. It's not appear what it seems. Because this same quote unquote motivational speaker may be telling you to do all these things, and they may be the most broken individual in. But
you know, a lot of people that do push themselves to assist other people, they are broken within themselves, and they're using that platform as a reminder for themselves. Also, while either they might have great intentions, like you just said, they might have the best intent. Look at Robin Williams. He committed suicide. The man was hilarious. And like you said, smoke and mirrors. Everybody knew Robin Williams. Like, he was hilarious. He was this comedy. He was Mrs. Doubtfire. Good Morning Vietnam. I met the man. I got a picture of him. I haven't printed it out yet. No, I haven't hung it up yet. But I got a picture of him where he was kissing me on the cheek in Afghanistan. Because he used to do, you know, USO tours and trips like that. And it was like a year and a half before he committed suicide.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you never know what somebody is going through, and you could be pushing, but you might put on this cloak and, you know, cloak and dagger. Like, when you get around me, you're going to be all smiles and upbeat because that's what you assume my expectations are.
Exactly.
But then when you walk away, you still feel empty inside. And it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. It definitely is. I went through it. I still have, you know, my moments where it's like, I got to kind of get out of it, you know, because I was just, sometimes, and this is just me, I may just sit in it for a minute, but where I used to sit in it for like forever, because I'm gonna be honest, I used to be so angry and so like I was
just mad at them.
I was a bitch. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not even gonna lie. I was a bitch. I did not care about how you felt, your feelings. I didn't want to hear nothing that you said. I was so set on misunderstanding someone. I didn't even care, you know, about how they felt. I didn't care. Now I'm having to learn, even still, and it's a daily thing of like, you never know what the next person is going through. So always treat someone like
the best you
want
can
to be treated. Exactly. Because
some people do deserve to be cussed the fuck out. Yes, some people do deserve it because they need that reality check. But there are certain instances.
It's the way you can do it now, because I'm going to be honest.
I'm a tactful
versus
asshole.
Where I used to cuss you out. Now I'm going to cuss you out in a kind of nice, nasty way where it's like,
I tell them, did she really cuss me?
Did she, like, is she being nasty, or is she being, like, giving it to me straight? Like, where it's like, you kind of got to check yourself. You know, like,
you do.
Hey.
You do. And it's okay to take that pivotal moment in that transition. It is. As long as it's in a positive mannerism. It might not, like we was talking earlier, we're planting the seed.
Right.
So when we come back from this break, we want to jump on the negative pivotal aspect that can occur, because this was my very first show and I really believe that it needs to be brought up, and I want your take on it because I know you're going to be as real as me. But we're going to take this break and be right back.
See y'all.
Subscribe to the HERshyt Show on YouTube and Facebook. Support by purchasing merchandise at www.8robinsons.com.
All right.
All right, so welcome back. So before we took the break, we was talking about the pivotal moments.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's okay to not be okay. But like in my very first episode doing the HERshyt Show, my niece had just passed away from overdose, from addiction. So bringing that conversation back into the pivotal moments, it's okay to not be okay, but numbing your reality is really not okay or healthy.
Right.
So it's like I don't know.
I've experienced it. I definitely have. I had a boyfriend that I was with. I was younger, like in my 20s. And I got a call, and he was, the call was telling me, I was in New York, he was in California. They were telling me, like,
and you're from California,
yes.
Right? Okay.
They were like, he just got shot, and he is laying here in the parking lot, dead. And I'm like, what? I didn't believe it at first, because it was just like, he had just got out of jail, like, literally the day before. Like, he had not even been home or anything, which is why I was in New York.
Yeah.
Like, so when I got that call, I'm like, wait, no, this can't, no, I wasn't believing it. So
and this was your first time actually
experiencing death that close versus like, I may have had like older relatives, you know how you got older aunts and you know them, but you don't really kind of
nobody it's not traumatically
like, not somebody. This man slept in my bed every day, like he had clothes at my house, like this, we were in a relationship.
Yeah.
And so to get that call, when you got to understand, he had just been in jail. So I'm in New York, you're in jail. I hadn't even seen you. You know, you got released. So I hadn't even got a chance to come back and do anything, see you or anything. And the call I get is you're dead now.
Wow.
So, I went to California, got on a plane. I literally just kind of dropped everything. And I started just like ecstasy. I was on it horribly every day. I was drinking. I remember every single day I was drinking Hennessy.
And it was to numb the reality.
It was to numb the reality of what was going on. I didn't want to feel it.
Yeah.
I didn't like how it felt. It was a combination of like, I'm not okay, but I don't really want people around me to know that I'm not okay. Of course they're like, cause I got to save face, like we spoke about earlier, that I got to be tough, or I got to, everybody is used to me being like people that actually know I'm goofy as hell. I'm goofy as hell. I'm a laugh. I'm going to laugh. And some things don't even be funny. I'm going to laugh. So it's like,
exactly. Laughing at the wrong time.
Exactly. So it's like to go through that. I mean, I damn near killed myself. I'm going to be totally honest.
So what got you to, so you had that transitional or pivotal moment to where the trauma brought you to the numbing.
Brought me to the numbing.
But what woke you up to pivot a different direction?
To get back. I'm going to be honest, it took a while. Yeah. It wasn't overnight. It wasn't something that was overnight. I ended up going to jail. That's why I stopped doing ecstasy. I'll just be totally honest. I didn't go to jail for ecstasy, but I ended up going to jail. And then when I went to jail, if I had never went to jail, I probably would have been dead. I'm gonna be so honest, because
jail actually saved you.
In a sense, because you don't know. Like, who knows? I could have took a bad ecstasy one day. I mean, it got to the point where when I tell you I wasn't getting any sleep, I was rolling just out of my mind. So in addition to the ecstasy and then the alcohol on top of the ecstasy, and I wasn't just taking one. I had got way past the point of one at this point. I'm literally taking like 1.5, 2. And plus I'm drinking, and I used to like start seeing stuff, like it had gotten that bad to where like I was so high, like I would see, like I remember my friends, no lie, I was in her living room and I was laying on the couch and I just started seeing like these little swirly black things like coming.
That sound like LSD type shit.
But the thing is, you don't even know what's in ecstasy.
Yeah.
Like
I ain't never that's one thing I was always scared
now that I think about it, like right in the, you know, with as I've got older, it's like, and you see all these drug stories, all these people. I didn't even know what the hell was in it. I was just taking it. It was like, oh, okay,
because you wanted to numb that.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, it makes me feel good. It's fun. But when I start seeing that shit just flying, I literally was in there like, what the, like, y'all don't see that? They're like, what? No, we don't. Like, and they had took the same, you know, thing that I had took. They may not have taken as much, but you got to understand, I had been abusing the hell out of it. Yeah. To the point where it's like, okay, at some point, I didn't want to feel. I didn't want to feel anything. I didn't. I did not. I didn't want to feel a damn thing. Like, but I had to. It wasn't at that time for you okay to show your emotions, right? And then when I went to jail, that was kind of like, of course, you can't do ecstasy, obviously. So I had to get sober because I can't drink. I can't do ecstasy. So now I'm sober, and I had to sit in it. Yeah. Literally in a 4x8 cell. Now I'm sitting in it. 4x6. And it's like, okay, now I gotta feel all this shit. Yeah. I gotta feel it. And feeling it and kind of getting through it, I'm gonna be honest, the getting through it part sober was difficult. Yeah. Because it was like, these are emotions that I've never ever experienced before in my life. Like I've never felt this type of deep hurtness or emptiness or anything. It's like, wait a minute, no, you know, what do I do? Yeah. And so, jail definitely was. And then when you got out, like after sitting with it, and I try to tell people, you got to go through it to get to it. Right. You know what I'm saying? You got to go through those transitional phases. Right. And understanding first and foremost that it's legit okay to not be okay in sitting with you. Was forced to sit with your family. I was forced to sit with it. But not everybody gets in that position to where they are forced to sit with it. Exactly. Like, so another thing, and I'm glad you brought that up. And there's help out there. Is because that's like with my dad. Yeah. You know, when my dad passed away. Yes, sorry, y'all. I'm getting a little. But when my it wasn't over no. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. He just died of natural causes. Yeah. But when my dad passed away, you got to understand. Like by this time, my life was, on track, 100%. Yeah. So to have to sit in that and deal with that emotion and not being okay, traumatic in its own right. It's like exactly know. So it was like to go through that moment. I had to sit in that shit, and a point of, and it was by force because. Yeah, I'm not going to go out here and I'm not about to go buy no drugs. By this time, I'm scared of damn drugs because I've been seeing everything on the news and all this. I'm not about to go do no recreational drugs or do any of that. I have to literally now, I got to sit in this shit. Yeah. And I used to just ignore it and ignore it and ignore it. And still, it came to a bullet point. Even still now. Like, I've gotten to the point now where it's like, I hadn't fully dealt with it. I still haven't fully, as you see, I still haven't fully dealt with it. But I'm able to kind of cope with it. You know, I figured out, thank you, positive things to help me, cope with it. Yeah. I may kind of throw myself into work or I may do other things that is like, okay, if I'm feeling this way, let me think about, instead of thinking about the fact that, okay, he's gone or whatever. Now it's like, let me think about the fact that, he's watching. He's gone, but in addition, like, I know he's proud. You know? I know yes, indeed. Yeah. Yes, indeed. I know he is for a fact. It's like, I know he's proud, and I just gotta, now sitting in it, I can deal with it. Like, for the longest time, my dad has been dead for, 2 years. Yeah. I just last year finally went to his grave, because I wasn't able to do it. I wasn't. We didn't go that day. Yeah, but I wasn't able, like the funeral, I did all that, but as in we don't even speak about that. No, that's a whole different. Yeah, but, I wasn't able for the longest time. And it's like, I get on the road and I go to, Savannah, or I drive up there and do different things for business. And I never made, that moment to go there. And finally I was like, for me to really start actually healing, I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta face it. Like, okay, this ain't just him up the street and, we not talking or whatever. Yeah. This is real.
Yeah.
You got to go and you got to sit in it and just make it, don't make it a bad thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I had to do.
There was a gentleman the other day, and this was crazy. You know how the world is actually very small. There was a gentleman the other day that they was doing some work across the street with like the gutters or whatever. And I was like, you know what? Y'all come over here and do my gutters real quick. How much you charge? You know what I'm saying? Because I hadn't had it done in a minute and I couldn't really find anybody at the time. So I was like, hey, since y'all doing them, go ahead and tag team and come knock mine out. I'll go ahead and pay you whatever. And I kept looking at dude and I was like, you look real familiar. And I done brought him in the house. I was like, if y'all a little handyman type company or whatever, I'm going to show you a couple things that I, looking at getting done.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah. And he kept looking, and I kept looking at it. Girl, he had that one little brown tooth in the front. I ain't trying to talk. I ain't gonna say no name. But he had that one little brown tooth in the front. And listen, it started really I'm not laughing at nobody's situation, but you could tell he used to do drugs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or is still doing drugs. You could just tell by because they had that. But he looked like 20 years older than me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I kept looking at him. I was like, who are you related to type deal? You like, I know you. And then I asked him, I was like, do you know XYZ? He was just like, yeah, I grew up with them. I said, no, hell you didn't. Because I don't, like.
Because basically y'all were the same age, must be around.
It dawned on me, he used to kick it with my family when I wasn't kicking it with my family, during that transitional period or whatever. But he's walking through and he brought up my niece because he looked at, I got my memorial wall in there. And he was just like, yeah, it was a sad thing, when she passed away, she was murdered. Your brother was murdered. I said, no, he wasn't. Like, my whole vibe just kicked. Addiction is addiction.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's out there. People are legit killing people easily.
It's a disease, though.
It is.
Yeah.
And there's help out there.
Yeah.
But you have to, but when I brought it up to him, I asked him flat out, I said, bro, what made you start this shit? What made you go down? You're 2 years older than me. But you look like you're 60. You know what I'm saying? Like, what made you start this shit? And he was just like, it started with crank. I ain't heard that word since the 90s. Yeah. It started with crank back in the day. And I was like, okay, but why did you continue the path? What reality are you trying to numb? And I started asking him the hard questions because that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
Is ask people, what reality are you trying to hide from? Back then, what was the thing that you were trying to numb?
Yeah.
If it was traumatic, as some people, traumatic is not a death of somebody.
Yeah, everybody's different. It could have been anything: abuse growing up, a parent just telling
or
you
just
never
taste testing,
or just being a follower, or just wanting to being curious.
Peer pressure.
You never know because the thing is this. With our people don't understand. Like everybody's like, oh yeah, well. Why don't you just stop? Everybody's brain is not wired the same. Yeah. So as where you may be able to drink one beer and never drink again, and I have a beer.
And I used to be a fish.
Sporadically, someone else, may drink that one beer and now they just drink every single day because it's the way that your brain is programmed. Like everybody doesn't have it.
There's help out there. But like I told him, he had made the comment of, well, I'm going to end up going to rehab. He was like, I've stopped, but I still want to go get the extra assistance. And I was like, good. Handle that. And he was just like, yeah, I want to do it for my kids. I said, wrong motherfucking answer. You got to do it for yourself before you can do it for anybody else.
And I was one of those, like, that's like when I used to go to jail. Yeah. I literally had to get to the point where it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to make sure I take care of my kids, blah, 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 blah. And then I had to realize, like, wait a minute. If I'm not good for me, there's no way I can be good to anybody else at all. There's no way.
You can't help nobody else if you can't help yourself. But some people use that as that excuse. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I'm trying to not, instead of, they're addicted to helping people. There's so many different types of addictions out there.
Oh, it definitely is.
That it's not just drug related. It's not just alcohol related. You got workaholics, you got sexaholics, you got
all type of stuff.
Fetishes, you got, serial killers. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's addictions out there that go way above just drugs. But the pivotal change, you can change down this pivotal avenue and it not be a good thing.
You have to want it.
But you have to want to either break through that wall and make a new path.
Because if you don't want it, I don't care how much you give a person. If they don't want, you can give a person all the help in the world, pay for their rehab. Like we see it all the time on TV. These celebrities or these people, they go to rehabs, they have all this money, and then they may kill themselves or they may overdose or whatever. And it's like, wait a minute.
And all it takes is that one shot, that one pill, that one sip, that one puff. Because they putting fentanyl in
the rate of, when I tell you, I have like, when I first think of fentanyl, because like, you know, when you go to the hospital, they'll give you that for certain things.
And it's like 0.03 milligrams.
Yeah, so just to see it going so viral now, and it's like, they're making the fake ones and all these different things where that is allowed. You know, these people
they're dipping weed in it. They're dipping, you know, it goes.
It's never been that.
But there's resources out there. You know what I'm saying? And you've heard it from firsthand experience, secondhand experience. Because again, I was that fish, and I didn't realize it until like I started drinking at 12, 13 years old. But what I was going through at the time, it made sense for me to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's, for one, that's what everybody else was doing. For two, I just wanted to numb my realities of what was going on, just have fun.
So what made you change it?
I woke up literally one morning, and I was in my, when I got pregnant with Jabars.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It was like, even before that, I started getting to a point, it was like, I just didn't even want to drink that. I got tired of drinking. Okay. I got tired of that feeling after the fact.
Oh, yeah.
The next day.
Oh, yeah, the next day.
You know, but even when Jabars was born, I would still go out with a, not around my child, because I made it a point that I would never be drunk around my child.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So you did set up some boundaries initially.
For myself.
Right.
Yeah, to protect, because I didn't want him growing up the way I did. But then when I came back from Iraq, it was a whole different ball game. You know what I'm saying? And then it got to a point where it was like, man, I'm starting to do what I said I wasn't going to do, and I had to snatch myself back. Okay. So I threw myself into work. I threw myself into hobbies. I focused on him. I focused on my mental health and admitting that I needed some type of therapy
for the betterment of him. Held yourself accountable. And
I damn sure did. And then it was just like, man, but when I come around people from back in the day or whatever, even soldiers, because, whatever, they would be like, what you mean you ain't drinking? I'm like, nah, bro, I'm good. Or I had the same beer in my hand for the whole night.
Yeah.
And they're looking at me like, you the one who used to amp us up. Don't use me as no excuse because your ass a fish now. It ain't my fault, because we all make our own decisions.
Exactly, yeah.
So, period, point blank, it's okay to not be okay.
It definitely is.
But try to find a healthy way for that pivot moment, for that transition moment. And it doesn't happen overnight.
It does not.
It does not. But you have to be willing to put in the work for yourself. Yeah. Because like you said, can't help nobody else.
Can't nobody do it for you. Mm-hmm. You came here alone. I don't care if you was born with a twin. Y'all didn't come out at the same time. One of you guys came out first, and then the one came out behind. Mm-hmm. It's your own life. You have to want to do it for it. That's with anything.
And stop letting motivational speakers make you feel bad. Stop letting other people make you feel bad. If you decide, I'm changing, well, damn it, change.
And then also, even if you want to change, and this is one of the things that I had to do for me, and it may not work for everybody. Stop trying to change everything at one time. Yeah. Because you're going to overload yourself, especially if you've never changed and you've been doing this for years.
You're burning the candle at both sides.
It's unrealistic. Mm-hmm. You can't go say, okay, I'm going to stop drinking today. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to do all these things all at the same time. No, you're going to have to break them down in sections. First, I'm gonna start
the Get Shit Done book.
And I speak on that in luxury thinking, like, you gotta break it down. Yeah. Because you're gonna overwhelm yourself, and what's gonna happen is when you start to see that, let's hypothetically say, if I tell myself every day I'm gonna go to the gym and I'm gonna eat better, plus I'm gonna do all these other things. Let's say if I only do 3 of them, and I still got 2 that I have not done. Eventually, I'm gonna start feeling like I'm not doing right. I didn't do this, or I didn't do this, doing good enough. And it's going to reset you. It's going to make you be like, oh.
So you're beating yourself up.
Yeah, and when in reality, it's unrealistic. If you want to stop drinking or you want to stop doing drugs, work on that first. Mm-hmm. Once you get that in work, then go to the next step.
And don't expect for people just to be embracing you with open arms because you decided to change.
Because people are always looking at your patterns.
Yep.
Like, that's the thing.
Patterns tell a tale every time.
They look at it. I still, till this day, have people that are like, they be looking at me kind of with a side eye. And you know what I say? Listen, you either want to work with me or you don't. Like, I know who I am.
You made that transitional phase into understanding it was okay to not be okay, and it was okay to start from the ground up and put in the work.
Yeah.
And that starts and ends with self. Period, point blank.
Self-awareness. We did it.
Yes, we did. Until next time, this is the HERshyt Show.
Log on to youtube.com and subscribe to the HERshyt Show at THERshytShow. Brought to you by 8 Robinsons TV and Yellow Tub Creative.
Subscribe to the HERshyt Show on YouTube and Facebook. Support by purchasing merchandise at www.8robinsons.com.